Okay, we're ready. Thank you.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. My name is Carly Cheetah. I am a school mental health program manager at the Center for Children, Families, and Workforce Development. It's a lot of words. Formerly, my background is I was a classroom teacher in 3 different public schools. And then I ran a preschool where I was the owner, director, teacher, all the hats there. So I have over a decade in the classroom, and then I've been working for the center. I did it on the side, like part-time coaching while I was teaching for a long time, and I've been full-time with the center for 2 years. And so we have 2 different grants that we work on. And one is PACS Good Behavior Game. So if you know folks or if your schools are a PACS school, that's us. If you're doing it through the our project, and then our other one is through in partnership with the National Center for Rural School Mental Health, which is a group of researchers at University of Montana, University of Missouri, and University of Virginia. So those are kind of the 2 projects. And today what we're going to be talking about is the Rural Center Project with EIS. This is my beautiful family. I just love this picture because it is like my very serious oldest daughter. She's like very much a first child, and my little joyful caveman of a little man there. He's so happy and so sweet and so joyful, and he's just so unhinged. Boys and girls, right? If you have both, you know. So that is me, and I'm really excited to be here today. Do you want me to just jump right in, Anne? Should I keep going, or I'm gonna keep going. Today, so I
Sorry,
have
I
3
was
goals.
on mute.
No, you're
Yes.
good. You're good. We have 3 goals today, and I kind of want to just give you an overview of the EIS system. And then we're going to do a demo of the dashboard, and then I want to really show you the intervention hub because it's a resource that you can use. It's connected. It's better if you have the EIS survey, but if you don't, you can still use the hub. So I want to spend some time in letting you interact with that. Okay, so we're going to start. And if you have logged into AHA Slides or scanned your QR code, it will let you join our conversation. And I just want us thinking about today skills that our students need to be successful. This can be in the classroom, in life, both. What kind of skills do our kids need? Oh, people are typing. Thank you so much. So hard to present virtually when people just stare at you or it's cricket. So I see people are typing. Thank you so much. You can also drop your answers in the chat if that feels better for you as well. Focus on tasks over a period of time. Yes. Flexibility, focus, listening, communicating with others. I see more and more people hopping in, so we're going to give people a second.
Did you forgot my grade? She said she got Warren and Isaiah, but not Warren.
How to get along with others. Love that. Working in groups or working together. So these are all skills, classroom skills, life skills. I would love to point out, I love to do this, and I love to point out that we didn't say reading, we didn't say algebra, we said behavior-related skills.
So if you were going to the wrestling practice, you were to do your regular.
Oh, thank you. We said behavior-related skills. So all of these things that we need to be successful in academics and in life. So we're going to scooch on. I think people have had a chance. Feel free to keep adding. You can move back and forth on the slides. So if you have things to add. Oh no, it doesn't fit. So my question is like, how do we effectively teach those skills? And what do we need to know? How are we going to support kids with this? How do we know what skills our students need supported with? You guys can share out. This is a learning community, so I would love some participation. How do we know what skills we need to teach our kids?
Well, we have to observe them in their setting and see what they're able to do just by watching them interact with their peers and others. And then also like asking parents what they struggle with at home or what are they good at to see if there is that carryover between the generalization from one setting to the other. Because maybe a student does it really well in the special ed room, but then you put them in their regular classroom and they won't speak up because the class is 20 kids.
So observations, parents, communications. Does anyone else have anything to add? Feel free to drop in the chat too. I love that. And I think sometimes it can be hard to nail down, like, where do our kids need help? Where are their strengths? Where do they need help? What should we focus on? And with math, we take assessments like a map test that tells us, like, here's what your kids are really good at. They're good at algebra operations. Ooh, but they need some more support with geometry. Or you might take a reading one where it's, we have phonics skills, but we're not fluent yet. And so often we don't treat behavior as a skill, and it really is a skill that we have to teach with our students. So that is where the EIS comes in. And it's called the Early Identification System. It's currently in the research stages, nearing the end of the research project through next school year. And it is a system developed to, I can use this word safely in this group, but it's a word I use lightly, like a screener to identify areas where kids might have risk factors for things that are related to, connected to predicting of mental health needs or concerns. And they're all behavior based. So how it works is there is a student survey that third through, you can do it up through 12th. In Montana, we're currently doing it through 5th. So we're not competing with RBHI. But it does go through high school. And then teachers, K-12 can take this. In Montana, we're doing K-6 or K-8, depending on the school and if they're an RBHI school. And we can get reports at all the levels. So we can look at the districts, the buildings, the classrooms, or the grade levels, the classrooms, and the students to see where skills strengths are and where we need more support. So we're going to dive into the survey, and I'm just curious, does your school currently have some sort of universal assessment for behavior-related skills? Is this something you're utilizing in your buildings right now? Ooh, I got a yes. I know. If you said yes, tell me what you're using. I would love to know. Okay. Oh, perfect. A few different ones. Sabers. Awesome. Thanks for dropping those in the chat. So this would be similar to those or something you could use if you didn't have one of these. It looks at these overarching categories: attention to academics, peer relations, externalizing behaviors, internalizing emotional dysregulation, school disengagement, and bullying are the main categories. And there are sub questions within those. So on the teacher's end, it looks like this. It's very simple for teachers to fill out. Their roster is preloaded for them. And so they open it up, they sign in with their email, and they'll see each of those categories we just looked at. And so it'll have a drop down. And then you see the few questions. So this one is externalizing, and the questions are: argues with adults, blames others, breaks rules. So you look at the child's name, which is already in there for the teachers, and they just go click, click on anything that applies to that student. And then the student questions look like this. They're really simple. They are all things that you would talk about at a parent-teacher conference. So often parents have concerns like, well, I don't want you asking my kid directly about suicide. And this is not that. This is all skills that, honestly, my daughter's report card just came home and most of these are on her report card even. So these are all skills we're already looking at in classrooms. Like, do you have friends? Do you get your homework done? Are you nice to people? Do you talk behind people's backs? Can you control your feelings? And again, the student one is 3rd grade in that. Here's some sample questions if you're curious about what kind of things I work well with classmates. I like myself. I feel lonely. I have trouble sitting still at school. So all of those things that we can look at and then provide really specific support to when needed. And these are not all the questions. This is just a sample. So what do you guys think? I mean, we can go into the results too, but just like initial reactions to this format of a survey. Thanks, Jennifer. She said easy for kids to take. Yeah, and it's pretty easy for teachers too, which is a good selling point because that can be hard to add one more thing to people's plates. So the dashboard. So we're going to just do like a quick overview and then I'm going to take you into it because it's very interactive and it's better when you can see the actual dashboard. So again, these are all the different, levels that you can look at the reports. So teachers can use this in their classroom. And then teams can look at it at like a tier 1 level. Like, let's look at what sort of district initiatives we could bring in. Could be smaller targeted groups like, hey, we have this group of kids that has a similar need. How can we support that? And then we can go down and we can look at reports of individual students to identify areas that we could support that student. So again, it's those categories that we looked at. And the dashboard will do the math for us. So it's really designed with an MTSS sort of structure in mind. And so anywhere we see these red triangles, it identifies that 20% or more of kids need support with this. So that would be suggesting maybe we should look at tier 1 because it's not economical to pull 20% or more of our kids for a tier 2 support. And then the yellow is at 15 to 19%. So here's what the teacher report looks like. And we're just gonna go quick because we're gonna go into the actual dashboard in a little bit. So you can see what the teachers say and it'll show you what % of teachers. This one is all grades, but we can filter this by district, by building, or by grade level. And we can kind of see the questions and take a look at different things about how our teachers are feeling. We have student ones the same way. And these ones will show you, so these bars, the green is never and sometimes, and that little bar down the middle splits it. And then we have yellow is often and red is always. And so we can kind of, when we're in the dashboard, you'll be able to see how you can hover over and see percents. But it'll show us that overview of like the areas we should look at based on what students are saying with the red or the yellow indicators on the left-hand side. And then when we click on it, which we'll see in the dashboard, it'll give us students input. And then we have, we're actually just gonna go there. That just makes more sense. So when we're in the student survey, when we hover and we're in the actual one, it'll show us percents. And then we can click and we wanna see what kids said they have trouble sitting still at school often. So we click this yellow bar and it gives us our list. And then who said they always have trouble sitting still at school? And it gives us our list of kids over here. And then if we click on one of those kids, it'll go down to the student level and show us the student report compared to the teacher report, which can be really interesting, especially for the work that you do. So we can see that what the teacher is saying. And a lot of times what we really find here is those internalizing behaviors aren't always identified as much by the teachers as the kids, which makes sense. We don't see those as much, but we can find student strength. Like this kid's a great listener. They listen to their teacher, but maybe we are having trouble with our friends, choosing good friends. Our friends are getting into fights, we're fighting with our friends. So that's kind of just a quick look at those reports. Let me get back to AHA Science. What reports do you feel like would be most useful, that spark you the most for the work that you're currently doing? Would you like, are you feeling like, oh, I'd love to be able to identify a tier 2 skills group? Or is it the, wow, that individual student report could be really helpful when making plans for individual students or identifying strengths? Okay, well, we're gonna jump to the hub because this is the piece that I think could really spark you. Oh, I see some answers rolling in. Thanks. We'll back up. Individual reports, Jennifer says. And finding the strength that kids see in themselves, Megan said. Yeah, thank you. I think for your setting that could be really helpful. Okay, we're gonna jump to the intervention hub. And I'm gonna drop a link in the chat. So if you would like to interact with this live, my screen is too big. There we go. I just dropped the link in the chat. And so what's neat about this survey is that we can take that information we just saw and those dark blue headings correlate to these icons that we keep seeing, that we've seen. And so we can say, okay, so now I know that I have a kid who has emotional dysregulation. What do I do? And so the team at these universities is working on developing suggested evidence-based strategies for kiddos based on these categories. So you could take your EIS results and you could say, okay, I have a kiddo who needs help with emotional dysregulation. And are you mostly elementary, high school? What are we here? A little of both? Elementary. I see elementary. So a couple elementaries, we're going to roll with that. Thank you for your responses. So I can say I'm an elementary teacher and I am looking for, some K-12 all. I'm going to look for a tier 3 because you're expressing that you like the individual reports, that feels most applicable to you. And so we're going to click tier 3. And it will give us suggestions of evidence-based approaches to help these students. And what you can do is once you're in here, you can click and it will give you a one-pager. And these are all formatted the same. And it just gives you a quick overview. So I know in the past when I've looked for interventions, you just start Googling and then you might get a list of things and then you have to go to those websites and dig through websites. So this kind of gives you summaries, like a one-page summary, like, would this be a good fit for me? And then if you're interested, you can dive deeper. And so it'll give you a quick description, how you do it, some tips, and then link you to other resources to get more. You're like, yep, this sounds like one of the 2 I really want to dive into. I have more resources here. And if you're in here, you can filter it even more. So you're like, okay, I'm on a budget. I am looking for things that are free. And so we can click here and just sort by things that are free. Or maybe that's not a problem. Maybe you have some funds, but you're looking for something that the teacher can implement in their classroom. And so you can sort by that. Or maybe you're like, I don't want a program that's like a structured, scripted program. I just want a strategy that we can use to complement the instruction we're already doing. And so then you can sort by strategy. Or maybe you do want a program like this child has a large skills gap. We need something really structured. And so then you can sort by program. this is in development. It has a really great start, but there's a huge spreadsheet that grad students are working on developing more and more. So this will continue to grow and have more options. And then once you're in here, you can search again. So maybe now you want to look for high school and we're looking for attention to academic issues. And tier 3, but maybe you're like, oh man, we have a lot of kids. How can I help the teachers find something that we can all do, or things like that? So you can really look through and find things. But the cool thing is that this hub is free. It is out there. You probably could relate this to the assessments you're already utilizing. Probably have similar categories that you could still make this work for your school without taking the actual EIS survey. Were you able to get in and try it out? Do you guys have any thoughts? Are you excited about anything? Can you find one that you could take with you? Is this something you would use? Do you already have things like this? What are your thoughts?
So Carly, let's give them just like 2 minutes to explore the web. Because I think they were following along your Zoom. And so do you want to talk about how this is kind of still in the research phase and not open to public yet?
Yeah, so you can utilize these strategies. Like these are approved, these are evidence-based practices. Like this is good to go. You can use this website. The survey itself has been in a research project, and there's actually really exciting data coming out of it. We have some schools in Montana participating. It started in a county in Missouri about 10 years ago, and they got a gas tax to have, and a lot of it went towards youth mental health within their county. And so they have been utilizing this system and then implementing evidence-based strategies. And they actually have like a whole coalition there. And so they have coaches that support the schools as well and can go in and help coach schools both on the system side and then in practice. A lot of their coaches are also practitioners. And their data in that county is absolutely amazing. As the national trend of depression, suicide ideation, all the really scary stats goes up for our national youth, their counties is going down. And so it's really cool to see just like if we can hone in on the skills that our kids need support with and the things that are connected to risk factors of future mental health needs, and we can intervene early and support them, that we can change that trend line. It's really powerful. So it started there and now they're expanding. And so for the past, I want to say 4 years, but don't quote me on that, they have been doing it not quite as an intensive model because it's on a larger scale. So it's more virtual coaching and not that in-person practitioner support in the same way. But they have schools that, and there are Montana schools participating that take this. Some are control schools, some are intervention schools. So some take it and don't get to see their data, and then some take it and do. And then they're able to access the hub and apply the interventions. And they're comparing to see if when you get to see this data and utilize these tools, do our outcomes improve for students? So that project is funded through next school year. And so it should be completed next school year. They're currently working with a new tech company to support larger volumes of participation. And in Montana, we're currently working on different avenues for funding and what that could look like to make this accessible for schools. So like most things in our education world right now, I don't have answers. So if you're like, I love this, this is amazing, I would love to bring this to my school. I have a form where you can drop me your email and we can circle back, but I currently am not sure if the project will be taking on new participants in the research project next year, or if we'll have funding to offer this to schools in the following years. I'm hopeful, as we all are, but we are in an uncertain time, so I can't promise anything. But if you are interested, do give me your email because I would love to circle back to you. I'm going to be positive and I'm going to say when this is available to everyone, not if, when. I'm going to go. Before we move on, the other piece of this that's also free on here, and this is just a little passion of my team and our work, is really supporting implementation, because schools genuinely mean well and they have the best intentions, but often things don't get applied with practices that implementation science would support as best practice to really sustain a program, especially at a larger scale like tier 1 level. So there is also on the website a section up here at the top. So we're in the intervention hub. So it's our hub of interventions we can select. And there's also an implementation hub that offers different resources for teaming and implementation science type of stuff. So if that's something you feel like your school needs support with, there are some, you could dive into that. We're not going to go into that today, but that is also there. So I just wanted to make a plug for that because I love some implementation science. It's not as exciting to everyone, but I do love it. In our project, if we are able to take on more schools next year, which I hope we are, we do a lot of consensus building ahead of time and really preparing schools to know what they're getting in for and setting people up for success and looking at teaming and things like that. Okay. So we kind of looked around and I have a form here. If you have a QR code, if you were like, I am interested in this, I can drop the link in the chat as well. But this is where you can send me your contact information of, hey, I would love to be able to explore this. It's not a commitment. You're not signing up for it. It's just a way for us to stay in touch if we are able to offer this to more schools. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well, just in case this sparks you.
So Carly, what about like Kim Brown, who's joined us today? She works with a lot of outreach consultants and people who work with different schools or teachers. What kinds of things can she take and share with her colleagues that they could use?
I would say that the implementation hub, that is free. And what I love about the crew in Missouri that is spearheading all of this at the Rural Center, National Center for Rural School Mental Health, is, I'm trying to get back there. They want to help schools and they want to help kids. And so it is not like a copyright thing or you have to buy our system if you want to use this. They just want to help people. And so all of the things in the intervention hub are free for you to utilize. You can find strategies yourself that you could take the one pager to your school. You could introduce your school to the hub and say, like, here's a great tool for finding evidence-based practices. Or maybe you do the legwork for them and your consultants do that and you utilize this and say, wow, this school really has some internalizing issues. How are we going to support this middle school? And we might pick tier 3. And sometimes when I'm in the hub, I really like to go add all the tiers because I just like to see what's available for every, like, what are all the strategies available within internalizing? And so maybe you're like, oh, this sounds really cool. I work with this counselor at this middle school. Coping Cat seems like a good fit for the things we're seeing at their school. And you can recommend like a specific program. Or maybe you're like, have you heard of Show Me First? Here's a great resource. Here's a one-pager on it. So I think you can
So-
either teach them to use the tool or find a tool to recommend to them.
So they can use the website that you gave them and share that with their colleagues or consultants or, okay.
Yes, absolutely. It's all
wanted to
free.
make
It's
sure.
all out there. You don't have to log in. You just go to the National Center for Rural School Mental Health, and at the homepage, I'll show you what the homepage looks like. It looks like this, kind of overviews their mission and things, but all you have to do is just go to the intervention hub, and you can even just send the link here that just directs them directly to the intervention hub. And it's free for everyone. Like, the goal of these beautiful researchers is to just help schools do best for kids. And so this is open for you to use any parts of the things on here. And they really, the hub really focuses on free or low cost strategies. So some of them that they recommend might have a manual that's $50 to $80. But they really try to find things that are affordable for schools. There are larger evidence-based practices that aren't included because of the cost. So they really try to stick to those strategies and those programs that are accessible and affordable to schools. So yes, use this website. We want to help people. We want it to be easier to find evidence-based practices. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. So this is just a great place to start.
So I would love to hear from some of our participants on what are your initial thoughts when you see a website like this, or what are some of the ideas that come to mind how you can use this information or share this information?
As a special education director, I think it's a great way to give a resource to not only our school counselors, but also empower the regular ed teachers who are often like, well, it's someone else's problem to deal with the behavior kids. And then even taking it and sharing it like at all 3 buildings in my district. That way, to do it, easy way to say like, hey, let's try something for behaviors. Otherwise, parents aren't, or teachers aren't always, they don't know what to try because like, oh, I tried this, it's not working. And I do like that when you look at, there are like the research behind it that shows this does work, and it does take time because we all want an easy fix for behaviors because behaviors take a lot of time. So I think it's great for not only counselors, but also regular ed teachers and even the special ed teachers. And maybe even sharing with parents, like here's an idea we think might help at home because maybe they're seeing behaviors at home that we don't see at school.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share some thoughts?
This is Kim from the Rural Institute. And Anne, you had asked the question, and that's exactly where I was thinking this is a great resource for us to know about and share the website, because we often get requests for technical assistance related to students transitioning to adulthood, kids who are deafblind, and may have behaviors that are a piece of that. And so knowing about the website, knowing a bit about what's on there will be really helpful, I think, to us. It just gives us one more way that we can assist when we're asked to provide some technical assistance. The other thing that I guess we could offer in return is if there are teachers out there or schools out there who use some of these strategies, and maybe they have a student who's deafblind or has a dual sensory impairment, both a hearing and a vision loss, and they're not sure how to modify or adapt the resources for that student, that's one of the ways that we might be able to be of help at the Deafblind Project.
Great.
Yeah, I love that, Kim, because I think they're not quite there to be thinking out that far, but I think that will come up. So I love having that connection and building those bridges. Like, how can our projects support each other?
Anyone else wanna share their initial thoughts or ideas? Or just wanna go explore and see what's, I know when she first showed me, I was like, just stop talking. I just wanna play. I just wanna go and see what I can find. And so it's just got so much. And so one more time, Carly, the early identification where like schools sign up and teachers take the assessments and then the
Mhm.
students take assessments. That part is not open yet, right? For new schools?
Not right now.
Okay.
It's last meeting I was at, they were undecided based on, it is funded through, IES, which is a division of the Department of Ed. And so currently just a question mark there, but
Okay.
hopeful that they're working on an extension. There's lots of moving pieces. So if you are interested, it's not a hard no. I just can't say like thumbs up, green light. So if you're interested, I do have that link to the form in the chat. We would love
Okay.
to connect, and I will let you know either way. If you tell me you're interested, when we know for sure either way, I plan to email everyone within that forum and be like, hey, here's our next step if you're interested, or like, unfortunately, this won't be open. So I promise to let you know either way. But it's not a no. It's just a wait and see.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Any other final questions for Carly or comments? Carly, do you have any last comments that you'd like to shout out?
Thank you for being here. I was pleasantly surprised to see the attendance. It's really hard to take on extra things. You all have so much on your plate. So I love that you're learners and continuing to grow and make connections. So that's really exciting and makes me hopeful that we can keep doing the good work despite everything happening. Like, there are people still out there doing good work. So thank you for being here. And if you are interested in seeing more of the survey piece and the dashboard of results, I didn't go into that as much just because I didn't know if I could even promise that to you. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time. But if that's something that you were interested in seeing more, I'd be happy to stay on and show you or set up a time to kind of let you explore that more. I just want to be respectful of the time tonight. So let me know if that's something you're interested in.
Okay, and as with all of our learning communities, I will send you the link to the video and her slides and the webpage that she shared with us tomorrow, along with your PDU certificate. So, yeah. Next month, we will have Katie Mattingly from OPI be presenting on the Autism Project. And so I look forward to having more people come. And I'm going to hit stop recording for anybody that wants to just ask questions unrecorded. So let's just hit stop here.